Hey YouTube, back with a quick update. Wanted to get this up as soon as possible. We do have an issue with the JCA circle cutter with the plasma setup. Like I said in my unboxing, I had a feeling that this would be, the plasma cutting attachment to this is a little bit of an afterthought, and I'm going to stand by that. And I'm going to tell you why right now. Number one, when you put an oxyacetylene torch in here, the nozzle goes into here, it's going to drop down a certain distance. I believe all those acetylene torches are the same as far as the nozzle, the size of the nozzle. So it drops down there, it's a certain height, you know, and this is, I believe this is set up to be roughly the same height that it needs to be with that acetylene torch. Comes up here, handle runs this way, handle rests inside of here. Okay, so here's the problem that I'm having. There's a couple of different problems that I'm having with the plasma setup. Everlast PowerPlasma 50. Here's the torch head. This is pretty common torch head that's out there with this price range of machine anyways. So here's my issue, and I brought this up in the unboxing. This hole is not big enough for this torch head. Will it be big enough for other torch heads? It possibly could. It could possibly be just fine with maybe a higher dollar torch head or just a different torch head in general. I'm not sure, because I don't have any other torch heads. I can't compare it to that, or I can't test it with that. Let me give you some quick measurements here, because it's not a deal breaker by any means. You know, for the price, you know, your torch head might work with this. So I'm going to give you some measurements on this, and you can measure your torch head and find out if it'll work with yours. This is a bit of a taper. This side right here is larger than this side. Very, very subtle difference, but there is a difference. So this top opening is 0.91. This bottom opening is 0.86. Okay? Now let me measure my torch head so you can find out what the difference is. My torch head has a bit of a taper from this edge to this seam here where it starts to taper up drastically. So let's measure the very end of it. It is 0.93. Right at that taper is 0.97. And the very, very top is ballpark 1.16. Okay. As far as the depth of this is concerned, just say it's 1 inch, 0.996. Let me grab another nozzle. Here's a used nozzle. The used nozzle is 1.12, but that's including this little lip right here. If I subtract that little lip, it's about 1 inch. So this and this are ballpark the same height. So, with that being said, this nozzle, you know, the brass, copper, I don't know what that's made out of, torch nozzle, the consumable piece, is roughly 0.35, 0.36, somewhere around there. That's how much that's going to stick out the bottom of this. That's another problem that I'm seeing. I'll explain that in a second. I'm trying to figure out what can be done to fix this. What would be a logical approach to fixing this? Because I think I'm going to try to fix it myself. Part of the reason why I'm making this video too is because I'm going to show this to JCA, the gentleman who shipped this to me, so that if they choose to address this or at least put some more information on their website as far as what size of torches this will work with, they can. It's a brand new product, so by no means, don't let this dictate that this product's not any good. It is a very good product, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But because it's a new product, and like I said, it looks like the plasma attachment was an afterthought. They probably didn't anticipate the different types of torch heads and things like that that this could possibly that people could possibly want to use this with. So what I'm actually thinking is, I don't know, this is tough because you need room to pull the trigger. And I'm looking at this. You're going to be wearing gloves. Basically, here's what I'm looking at. Okay, this is sitting inside the torch. If you machine this so that it fit, the whole nozzle fit in there, right? Basically, I'm just going to take this off, and we'll go from here, because it's the same depth that this sits inside of here. If you look here, this piece right here, let me make sure that you can see that. Hopefully it wasn't too far out of the camera view, if any. This sits pretty far over. These are rough measurements that I'm giving you because, I'll zero this out, because there's no way for me to really measure from here to here the difference, so I'm going to, accurately anyways, so I'm going to give you a ballpark estimate. We'll just say 0.62, 0.63, 0.63, okay? And this is 1.53. So you're dealing with maybe almost a 3/4 of an inch gap between here and the piece that you're working on. Okay, because this will pivot on the piece of metal. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. And the reason why that's a problem is because plasma torches need to be either right on the surface or just above the surface. You can't have that big of a gap. So your only option is to kind of lean it over like this to get the torch head down there. But that creates another problem. Your torch head should sit perfectly vertical. Okay? If you lean it like this, your torch cut is going to be at an angle. It's not good for consumables, so on and so forth. It's just kind of a bad deal. Here's what can be done. And I can do this part no problem. I've got a piece of bar stock that I can replace this pin, the center point pin with. Basically, you can just take a piece of straight stock instead of having this curve set up. Use a straight piece and make it as close as you possibly can to this flat surface here. What that'll do is it'll definitely improve the torch height. But let me see if it would still be enough. Okay, because we were at 0.6 from there to there. So let's get a realistic idea. you know, I could probably respectfully and still not cause any interference room. I could probably get it down to like 0.85. Let me find out where the 0.63 was. Okay, basically the torch is going to stick out the bottom of this, and it is going to vary a little bit, okay, because this piece right here, because it slides in and out, it'll be able to slide down like this. The problem is if it slides too far, then it's able to do this. Okay, so it needs to be in there pretty good, so it doesn't pull that number and start pivoting around and then messing up the accuracy. Basically, with this fully installed like this, and your torch head fully installed, your torch nozzle is going to be about roughly this level right here. So if you were able to put a pin inside of here that was the exact torch height that you needed, then that would be perfect. You might have some issue with your hand clearance. Let's get this down here. Sorry if I'm out of the view for you guys. I can't see. I'm using my phone to film this. So if this was down here, level like that, you could still get your hand in there underneath this like this. But if you got gloves on, it's probably going to be a bit of a problem. But if you have gloves on, I mean, you're going to also be grabbing the torch trigger over here. So, I mean, you can kind of just hold on to it from there, or I don't know. You have to figure that out. Whatever is more comfortable for you. So, I mean, that could pose a little bit of a problem. And again, this is plasma. This is not oxyacetylene. Like I said, I believe this is originally designed for oxyacetylene. And they just said, hey, we can make this adapter and set it up for plasma too, but obviously not all plasma cutters or not all plasma torches will work with that. So, I don't know. I'll have to talk to the manufacturer and let them know what I ran into, and we'll go from there as far as sorry about that, I've got some kids walking through my yard because apparently they think this is a fucking sidewalk. Anyways, I'll talk to the manufacturer and see what let them know the issues that I ran into and see how they want to deal with it. Again, do not let this dictate whether this company is good, whether the product is good. This product is good. It's, you know, for an oxyacetylene setup, I wouldn't hesitate to buy this, especially for the price range. The plasma cutting part needs some work. It may not need any work depending on if your plasma torch fits inside of this adapter without any issues. But for the plasma torch that I have, it is a problem. So, what I think I'm going to do, we've got a drill press. I'm not sure. This is aluminum. So, I've got to think about it for a minute. I don't have a lathe or anything, but I might be able to set something up on the drill press. I have to think about it. It's the tapered aspect that's the problem. I need to see, or maybe I can find somebody local that's got a mill or something, mill or a lathe or something that they can attach this to bore this outward to work with this nozzle. But again, I still have some issues with torch height, so I don't know. We'll figure it out. Once I figure it out, I'll definitely get back with you guys and do a follow-up video of what I came up with. I am going to make this work. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I am going to make it work. I think it's, like I said, I do think it's a good product. They just need to work a little bit on the plasma setup. And that's pretty much it. And yeah, so subscribe, comment, like. And oh, let me show you this real quick. The other plasma cutters, circle cutter attachments that I've seen, Some of them use a foot like this, okay? Oh boy, something stinks outside, burning. Basically, what this does, slides over it like that, clamps down, and then you'll have an attachment that comes off of that, and either there will be a magnet or something like that on the table, but this will roll around the circle, you know, the circumference of the circle. I don't like this setup. Okay, I don't like this setup for a couple reasons. I thought I would like this, even this little setup here, just to use the plasma cutter in general, but I don't, and I'm going to explain why. And this is kind of another reason why I really liked this product. Outside of it, you know, the heavy duty aspect of it, and this pivot point and the dimensions as we'll cut. This was the other reason why I liked it. You're going to control your torch height with your hand. You don't have one of these. And some people will say, well, this is better because it's going to maintain your torch height. I disagree. It will maintain your torch height, but you got imperfections, you got dust, you got little minute pieces of metal or anything on your surface, and it creates kind of a jagged roll feel to it. It's not perfect. You see what I'm saying? It's hard for me to explain that to you if you're not holding on to this rolling the surface. It'd be like rolling a Matchbox car on a little dirty surface. And sure, I could wipe it off, but what if there's a little piece of spatter on the metal? What if there's just a little imperfection in the metals from grinding or something like that? Or what if your wheels on here are just not really rolling very well, which they don't, by the way. You know, sure, you can kind of lube those up or something, but they still don't roll very well. You know, it just causes a bit of drag, and it's just strange and a little bit awkward when you're actually using it. Whereas this, the only kind of friction is coming from is your pivot point. Okay? Your pivot point drops down in there, and you could either turn yourself around the table, around the piece you're working on, or you can design it where the piece you're working on is on a table that will spin, like this. You know, let's say it's a round table, and you're cutting a circle. You just hold this, you hold the height, and you just turn the table, your workpiece, instead of your torch. If you're just turning your workpiece, your torch height is going to be almost spot on all the time, unless you're doing this number, which is, you know, kind of strange. If you're walking around it, I could see the torch height changing a little bit just based on every time you step, it might do a little bit of wobble. I mean, this is an over-exaggeration, but it might do that. I don't know. It's all preference. Like I said, I do like this tool. I like this tool a lot. It's a good base for what I wanted in a circle cutting attachment, and I am going to make it work because it's what I was looking for. Unfortunately, it wasn't quite designed for the plasma setup that I have, so I need to work around that. But I do like this. I like the friction point right here is minimal. You don't have anything that's going to drag, aka roll, around the work surface. You also don't have issues. This drawing here is to emulate a rock ring for rock crawlers. It's basically, for those who aren't familiar, rock rings are something that are welded to the lip of a wheel. And it protects your wheel. It strengthens your wheels from getting side shots on your wheel and damaging it. But it also will protect your valve stem from rocks going into your wheel and ripping your valve stems off. But it's mostly just strength. To be honest, a lot of people just put them on there for visual aspects because they kind of look cool. They look like bead locks without them being actual bead locks. But when you put a rock ring on, you need to have drains, okay? These little half circles around here, those would be drains. So when water and bullshit gets inside of your wheel, you know, through the center of here, that it's got some place to drain so it's not just filling up with crap and throwing your wheel out of balance. So you have these half circles, you know, this would be the lip of your wheel, and the water will drain out of it. Let's say I was trying to make one of those, and I do plan on trying to make a set of those for my 91 Pathfinder. With this setup, I'm going to have to cut these circles out first. Then I'll cut this circle, and then I'll cut this circle, because my pivot points here, I cannot cut out my pivot point until the last. Okay? So if I've got all these circles cut out, and I'm getting ready to cut this large circumference here, a setup like this will have to go over the top of those holes, and it's not happening. Okay? You're running into problems with that. So a circle cutter like this, where the torch is not ever touching the surface, and you can dictate, you know, your torch height manually, would be perfect for this setup, because it would just glide right over the top of those holes and I wouldn't have to worry about it. Again, it kind of depends on your plasma cutter. I have the Everlast PowerPlasma 50. It's got pilot arc. And for those that aren't familiar with what pilot arc is essentially I don't have to have the ground hooked up to this to get this to fire. Okay, I don't need to have this in contact with the surface. I don't need to have the ground on. I can have this up here, pull the trigger, and it's going to fire an arc. Okay, what that does is pilot arc is good for cutting expanded steel, things like that. Or a situation like this, where I'm using a circle cutter, I got my trigger pulled, and I just cut, let's say, I just cut this section and I'm running into this hole. I can keep the trigger down. As soon as it goes into the open space, it's going to kill the arc. But the arc's going to light back up, and I could just pause for a moment until it lights back up. And as soon as I start touching the metal again, or the arc comes in contact with the metal again, it's going to increase the amperage to its normal settings, and I start cutting again. And it's just going to be a continuous thing all the way around. I'm not having to restart manually. It's going to shut itself off and restart itself with the pilot arc all by itself. With a setup like that, again, this is ideal. This works great. So. Again, I just got to figure this out. I got to find out what I'm going to do with this. What I might end up doing, I may end up just mailing this cup. This is a burnt up cup that I have, to JCA, and see if they want to, or if they can modify one of these to work with this cup. Maybe what they want to do later down the road is to, I may send them a nozzle as well. Where the hell, I just put that down, now I'm blind. Okay, yeah, I may send them a burnt up nozzle as well, so they can drop the nozzle into the cup. Damn it. So that they can get an idea of where the torch height is. I may just do that and see see how they handle it. You know, I'll definitely keep you guys posted. So if you guys want one of these for an acetylene torch, jump all over it. Phenomenal price, great product. If you want it for a plasma cutter, you know, go back, measure your torch, take the measurements that I gave you here. I know it's not perfectly accurate, but make sure your torch works for it first. If you're buying this specifically for a plasma cutter, make sure your torch works with it first. Or make sure you have the tools to modify this to work with your torch. I don't, or at least I don't think I do. I have to get creative with that. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to mail this to JCA and let them try to figure it out. And hopefully they come up with something good. Hopefully it works out, and they can come up with with an attachment that'll work for this. Maybe what they ought to do is have a set price for this and then sell these separately and specify which type of torch they work for. That would be a really good thing for them to do. And the reason being is if they make this for like this particular style torch head, or Hypertherm has different style torch head. If there's a few of them out there. If they make these for each style of torch head, let's say that I got 2 different plasma cutters. I might want to buy 2 of these instead of 2 of these. I might be able to buy 2 of these for the 2 different types torch, 2 different type torch heads I have. I don't know. Something for them to think about. Something for you to think about. I'm always going to be perfect, 100% honest with you guys on reviews and my thoughts and opinions about products. And I do think this is a really good product. It just doesn't work on my plasma cutter. I am going to make it work on my plasma cutter, by all means necessary. Don't know how just yet, but I'm going to. I need to find out what this metal is. I don't know. I think it's brass, but I need to verify for sure. But if I have to make my own adapter for my particular plasma torch, I will. I am going to make it work though. I have to come up with a solid plan on how to do so. If you have any ideas, definitely leave a comment below. The only thing that I would have to consider is, I can modify this pin to lower the, to get the torch height lower. But I also have to make sure that I have room for the trigger. Okay. Now, one thing that could happen is I could always have the torch off to the side like this, and then circle around and just use 2 hands to do so. That's not necessarily a problem. As long as I got room to walk around the piece that I'm working on, that could work. Ideally, I would like it to be in line, like it was originally designed, so that I could, let's say it would be like this. Obviously not there though. It would obviously be somewhere in this vicinity. But I need room to pull that trigger. So, those are the things I got to work around. If you guys have any ideas, definitely leave a comment and tell me what you think, and we'll go from there. Definitely, I will follow up. I'm not going to just leave you guys hanging at all. There will be follow-up. I am going to make this work. I am going to tell you guys, how JCA Enterprises handled the situation and whether they wanted to pursue, making this work for my particular plasma torch head or torch gun, whatever. So subscribe, definitely subscribe, and keep an eye out for that video. If I've already made the video, I'll put an annotation and a link in the description to the follow-up. If I, once I get the solution for this. If you don't see that, that means I haven't got a solution yet. Definitely subscribe. So head down to the description. There'll be a link to Alvarez Metalworks. That's my Facebook page. Go check it out. Go like it, please. There'll be a link to Everlast for the PowerPlasma, to the Everlast PowerPlasma 50 on Amazon. And there'll be a link to the California Air Tools compressor that I use to power my Everlast plasma cutter. It is a small compressor. It's silent, awesome. It works just fine. And there'll be, without question, there'll be a link to the JCA website where you can find this, circle cutting. It's good product. I don't want to say that it's a bad product. It just needs to be refined a little bit to work for my setup. So, thanks for watching, and I will talk to you guys later.